Well, welcome to the webinar, everyone. Another Wednesday, another Lunch and Learn. Today's topic, drugs and supplements, understanding the true relationship. You know, this can be a very confusing topic. There's a lot of people that have a belief that it is an either or a binary relationship, that it's either drugs or supplements. But the reality is it's not an either or discussion. It's a but and discussion. It's both. It's trying to understand how these things work together, and that's what today's really about. Is trying to teach give you the information so that you can understand that if you're on certain medications, certain type of pharmaceutical drugs, or using over-the-counter medications on a regular basis, that there are certain things that you are eating on a daily basis, or certain things you may be supplementing with that could be enhancing or improving the effectiveness of the drug or actually causing more problems with it. So let's kind of jump in to the webinar so that we can kind of see the details. You know, this is a bit old. It's 2004 sales numbers, but you can kind of see the pharmaceutical business is not hurting. These are in the billions of dollars. So Humira is a little over $12.5 billion in the year 2014, all the way down to the number 10 drug, which is Crestor, a cholesterol medication, a statin drug, if you will, $5.8 billion. I mean, and all, of course, the ones in between. And there's a lot of others out there as well. But I kind of wanted to show you what the market was. The reason why so many people, though, are trying to have a discussion about wanting to find an alternative is because of things like this. See, when you start looking at Crestor, for instance, and this is from a legal site where someone has created kind of the side effects and things that people are seeing as a result of the use of the Crestor drug, or at least allegations of what they're seeing. What they're seeing is kidney damage and kidney failure, memory loss. They're seeing that the fact that statin drugs cause type 2 diabetes. According to this particular stat, 1 in 167 people that take the drug develop diabetes as a result of the drug, or at least that's what the allegation is. But this is the reason why people are looking for alternatives. You know, you can look at Plavix, which is a blood thinning drug. You know, the side effects include nausea, chest pain, nosebleeds, but the serious side effects, I mean, those are pretty severe, especially when you're talking about brain hemorrhaging, heart attacks, and strokes. They're literally linking that to that drug. Not only that, they're saying that you're 12 times more likely to suffer from ulcers, as well as, you know, there's been over 60,000 adverse reports, 729 deaths, all kinds of gastrointestinal bleeding, heart attacks, and they're even wondering whether or not Plavix is any more effective than aspirin. So when you're looking at these types of drugs, it's no question why so many people think that, well, I'll turn to the nutraceutical side, or I'll turn to the holistic side in a hope that I can avoid the pharmaceutical by supplementing it for the nutraceutical. But that's really not the answer. So let's talk about what the whole topic is today, because the real idea is, what is drug nutrient interaction? Because we really need to understand what it is before we can move forward. First, drug nutrient interaction is when a drug interacts with the vitamins and minerals you ingest either through food or supplements. So there is some type of reaction. It can be positive or it can be negative. It can be either or, but there is some type of reaction. Second, what you need to understand is the drugs can deplete the body of certain nutrients, where the nutrients can enhance or reduce the effectiveness of the drug. See, a lot of people don't appreciate or understand that the medicines that they take are nutrient dependent. In other words, the only way that the drug is going to work is if the body actually contains the nutrients necessary for it to work. And in fact, there are drugs out there that will deplete the body of those nutrients. And if you are not eating the right types of foods or supplementing with the right type of supplements, then that drug will stop working. And one of two things usually happens when you go to your doctor. Either they increase the dosage in the hope that the increased dosage will make it more effective, or they change the drug to something else that it has a different nutrient dependency. But you do need to know that, you know, properly prescribed pharmaceutical drugs is still the number one reason why people are admitted to the hospital in this country. The other thing that can occur is this phenomenon known as drug nutrient interaction can cause unwanted and enhanced side effects or a reduction in the effectiveness of the drug. So in other words, there are certain nutrients, certain foods that you can eat or certain supplements that you can take that actually can reduce the effectiveness of the drug or can extremely enhance the side effects experienced with the taking of the drug. So that's why this topic is so important. And before you are going to take any type of medication, you should really understand what interacts with that drug. They refer to that as a contraindication. So the whole idea is you need to actually read the paperwork that comes with the drugs. I know most people don't, but you need to understand that. And once you are prescribed a drug, understand what you should be eating, what you should be taking as far as supplements, but more importantly, understand what you should not be taking. So this is kind of a visual so you can understand what I'm talking about. The drug alone has certain normal effects. It just does certain things. When you add the supplement, when you're taking certain supplements or you're eating certain foods that have nutrients in them, then you can increase the effects of the prescription of the over-the-counter drug. Of course, the opposite is true as well. You could take the normal effects of a drug, and by taking a certain supplement or eat a certain food, you can actually reduce the effectiveness of it. So this is what we're talking about here. So kind of a visual indication of what it is the topic is. The other thing that can happen is the drug nutrient depletion. And this is kind of a bigger issue, something that you really need to understand for your overall health. What this basically means is when you use a drug for a period of time, it can literally deplete the body of essential nutrients. Not only the nutrients that are necessary or dependent upon the drug to work, but also the body's other nutrients that are essential for basic body functions. So one of the prime examples is acid reducers. This can be anything that you take for acid reflux, any of those types of things, Pepcid, things of that nature. They can cause a decrease in your body's levels of vitamin B12, calcium, magnesium, and other minerals. That can cause all kinds of issues and problems for you. And you need to understand that long-term use of these things can actually reduce your body's levels of these things. So you would need to either eat foods rich in these minerals and nutrients that are being depleted, or supplement these nutrients if you are in fact on an acid reducer. Another prime example is statin drugs. And we're going to go into more detail on this in just a second, but statin drugs have been shown to deplete the body's natural production of CoQ10. And we're going to talk about why that is so important. So where are we right now? This number is a little bit old, but the reality is 1 in 4 Americans are on some form of statin drug, but 22% of Americans over the age of 45 are in fact on a statin. That's over 14 billion in sales. 14 billion in sales every year for statin drugs. Now, this is for high cholesterol, basically intended to help you reduce or eliminate the chances of having a heart attack. Now, the effective rate of statin drugs is all the rage right now, and some numbers say 1 in 67, some say 1 in 100, depending on who you listen to. But what that basically means is 67 to 100 people have to take a statin drug before one person gets a benefit. But almost everybody experiences some form of side effect. So what are the side effects? Well, the most common side effect is muscle pain and damage. Others suffer from liver damage, digestive problems, rash or flushing feelings, increased blood sugar, or type 2 diabetes. Remember, statin drugs have been linked to causing type 2 diabetes. Some people have experienced neurological side effects, and then, of course, there's been quite a few men that have identified sexual dysfunction associated with the use of a statin drug. So pretty severe side effects that people are trying to avoid through the use of these statin drugs. In fact, statin drugs kind of came around in 1987. Like I said, 1 in 4 Americans are taking them currently. Here are the new side effects as of 2012. So you have to understand, these drugs came on the market in 1987. They were around for roughly 25 years. And then all of a sudden, they identified, after winning the Nobel Prize and everything else in medicine, 25 years later, they said, oh, by the way, some of the new side effects that we didn't know at the time when these things were released are liver damage, memory loss, type 2 diabetes, and muscle weakness. So kind of an after the fact kind of thought. But one of the things that you should be aware of is that in Health Canada, they're kind of the FDA, if you will, of Canada. They basically said that the statin drug may stop the heart attack, but could very well cause congestive heart failure. See, and the reason why that is because the statins stop the body's natural production of a supplement or a nutrient called CoQ10. That nutrient is the essential nutrient necessary for the heart muscle's health. So when you are on a statin drug, the very first thing you should understand, and should be recommended by your cardiologist and should be in the paperwork that you receive when you get your prescription, is that it should be recommending a supplement of CoQ10 at the same time, because we know over a prolonged period of use that statin drug is going to stop the body's natural production of a nutrient necessary for the heart muscle's health. So what is drug supplement depletion? A little bit different. The whole idea here is a supplement can improve the effectiveness of a drug or deplete your ability to absorb the medicine. So you need to understand that if you're going to take supplements, and if you happen to be on medicines, you need to understand or have a resource that can identify for you where that depletion is happening, where that interaction is occurring. But most importantly, if you happen to be taking a supplement that could be reducing the effectiveness of your drug. So, you may be taking a one-a-day vitamin, and that one-a-day vitamin may have been perfectly fine before you started taking your medicine to give you some level of nutrient, depending on what you took and how it was manufactured and what's in it. Most one-a-days are absolutely useless. Let's be real. I mean, one size fits no one. But the idea here is you need to understand that once you start taking medicines, or if you know somebody that takes over-the-counter drugs on a regular basis, you could actually reduce the effectiveness of that drug simply by the use of a form of supplement or any type of food that can interact with it. Here's an example. St. John's wort. When taken in conjunction with antidepressant medications, 1 in 3 women in this country are on antidepressant, usually because of the men in their life, but we won't go into that joke. It can actually lead to manic depression. That's right. So St. John's wort is kind of that natural or that holistic remedy for depression. But when taken in conjunction with an antidepressant, it can actually lead to manic depression, can actually put you into a manic state, a deeper depression. But it can also reduce the effectiveness for oral contraceptives. So ladies, you need to be aware of that, so that if you're supplementing with something called St. John's wort and you're on an oral contraceptive trying to prevent pregnancy, you could actually reduce the effectiveness simply by taking this particular supplement. All kinds of foods and other things that counteract with oral contraceptives and antidepressants, but St. John's wort is one of the leading contributors to that. So who's at risk? Who should be listening to this webinar? Who's affected by this? Well, chances are that 99% of the people that are listening to this webinar are going to be on this list. That is pregnant women, older adults, that's adults over the age of 40, people who have a chronic condition or medical condition, well, that's 75% of the population in the U.S., young children, people who do not have access or choose not to consume proper nutrition, that's about 90% of America, because our food supply is so depleted, and 98% of us are going to eat fast food in the next 48 hours in a bag through a car window. And then people taking 2 or more medicines regularly, which is pretty much about 80% of Americans over the age of 50 at this point. It's getting insane. So who's at risk? Everybody's at risk. Everybody needs to understand that if you're taking any type of over-the-counter medication every day, this can be allergy medicine. This can be common usages of like Aleve, Advil, things like that. Or it can be for chronic diseases, issues with diabetes and heart disease and other types of chronic illnesses. You need to understand that this is you. You need to have a resource that's going to educate you on what you need. The good news is here at IDLife, we have that resource. See, we have a free assessment. You can go to IDLife.com, and in the upper right-hand corner, it says Take Free Assessment Now. It's the world's first truly customized vitamin platform. That is going to help you in so many ways. First and foremost, that assessment is built to block any nutrient that we know is going to have an adverse effect on the medications, both over-the-counter and prescription, that you are taking. So that when you get to your recommendation at the end of it, if you happen to be taking a supplement that is not on the list, you need to understand why. You need to understand why you're taking it. And if you don't know why, then you need to basically do a little research on your own and find out what those indications might be. As far as what's recommended to you at the end of the IDLife assessment, it's actually going to give you a why button. That Y button is going to tell you exactly what you need, why you need it, and the science behind it. See, this was over 18 years in the making. It uses over 10,000 independent third-party peer-reviewed studies. It's convenient, it's cost-effective, it's the highest quality pharmaceutical grade ingredients, and it's also HIPAA compliant, which means no one's ever going to see this information but you. So what do you get? For 5 to 10 minutes of your time, what you're going to do is you're going to get a free health score. That health score is going to tell you exactly where you are currently. Don't worry, most people score between a 60 and an 80, but more importantly, you're going to get a free health report. That free health report is actually going to give you 6 to 16 pages of information just about you. 6 to 16 pages of information that are going to help you modify your diet and lifestyle and give you the information necessary to improve not only your score, but your overall health. The ethics, integrity, morality of IDLife is that we don't recommend a single IDLife product in this report. And again, it is absolutely 100% free. This does not cost you a dime. Take 5 to 10 minutes of your time, find out what your score is, print off your health report, find out what you can do to improve your overall health, your overall wellness, and more importantly, get yourself online. So what's the takeaway? What should we take away from this webinar today? Well, the most important thing I can tell you is if you're on a medication of any type, that's over the counter or prescription, understand how your food, the food that you're eating every day, the food that you're exposing yourself to, the food that you're choosing to eat in restaurants, fast food in other words, and the supplements that you might be taking might affect positively or negatively the impact or the effectiveness of the drug that you're taking. And remember that it isn't an either or issue, but rather a but and issue. In other words, we see people all the time saying, take supplements so that you can stop taking your pharmaceutical. That's actually not the right statement. That's actually not something that anyone should ever say. What you should be taking supplements for is to enhance the effectiveness of the drugs that you're on so that it can work with the drug to help the drug be the most effective it can be so that it can do exactly what it was designed to do in the hopes that it can get you past the condition that you're currently suffering from, and the body can do what it was designed to do, which is repair itself and get to a position where you no longer are nutrient deficient so that you don't need the pharmaceutical. That's the hope. But it's not an either or. It's not take supplements instead of pharmaceuticals. It's take the supplements necessary to make the pharmaceutical work better and at the same time give the body the nutrients it needs so that it can do what it needs to do, which is take care of the issue that you currently have. So that's the takeaway.